Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to Silver Tent TV. I'm your host, Siobhan A Riordan, along with my dog Elsa, who we know can occasionally join in, but we just ride with it. The Silver Tent is a global platform for women over 50 years of age. And it's a place where women can come to be supported, to be nurtured, to pursue those dreams that are yet to be realised. And it's also a place to share women's wisdom. By the very fact we've been around the block a few times, we've got a little bit of a wisdom that we've accumulated. And with that in mind, I'm delighted to welcome Dee Twentyman. Hello, Dee.
Hello, Siobhan. Nice to be back.
Oh, it's lovely to be with you again. Dee's been here before and we've had many conversations, but we decided to come back and have another one because what Dee explores is really important. She is the CEO of Resonance Holistics, and she's a writer, and she specialises in the management of chronic pain, and especially in the natural remedies that are out there that can enable people to liberate and live a new kind of freedom from chronic pain. And your book was published in 2014, Dee, and I thought it'd be a good place to start here, which is about understanding that connection, that mind-body connection around chronic pain. Because I said something to you earlier, and you were very definite. No, it's not about acute pain, it's about chronic pain. Chronic pain is a very different mechanism in the body.
Yeah, it is. I wrote the book back then because I was actually treating people with hypnotherapy for chronic pain at the time, and it's really important I wanted people to know that the importance of where chronic pain sits within the brain and how they can feel pain even after the condition's gone, and why. And so as part of the treatment with hypnotherapy, it's really important for people to understand how their mind is working and how it's actually perpetuating the problem. So that's why I wrote the book. So it's your mind is creating an issue. And I'm not saying that pain is all in the mind by any stretch. The pain is definitely real. But the mechanism between the limbic system, your thoughts, beliefs, your desires, your opinions, all of that, chronic pain seems to sit within that section of the brain, and that's why we need to have a completely natural, different approach, because the pharmaceuticals just mask the symptoms. They just basically treat the symptoms. They don't treat the actual underlying connection between here and here in the body.
And I think that's something about Resonance Holistics that's very different. You're much more interested in looking at the root causes and going and finding ways that enable you to deal with those root causes. That's
it. Because we're not an isolated unit. We live in a world where we deal with relationships. We deal with our programming, if you like. You know, when we're born completely, you know, a clean sheet, and then we're programmed, we're socialized, you know, we're taught certain things about how we relate with other people, and that can create a lot of issues in everybody. We've all got our baggage, as we know, and so that when we're starting to work in relationships, whether it's friends, whether it's work colleagues, whether it's intimate relationships, families, those kind of thought processes impact how we are and how we operate and how we respond to life. And the tensions that creates in our bodies will create pain and discomfort and illness and ailments. So it's really important to understand that how our mind and our emotions actually can make pain better or worse.
And your repertoire has grown from hypnotherapy over the recent years to include other highlighting and educating people about other natural ways of dealing with chronic pain.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've been a big proponent all my life of natural, from scratch food you know, no packages, this, that, and the other. I've always been like that because I've had IBS since I was about 8. I've suffered with it for all that time. And when I got into my mid-30s, I cracked it. You know, I knew that it wasn't just the food, and it was actually, no matter how well I ate, it was my mind and my emotions that I had to deal with more than anything. But I also know that the food that I eat can also create problems as well. So if I don't eat well, if I don't eat natural products, you know, as the least a person can touch the food, at least a person can have any impact on the food, the better. So stick the seed in the ground, grow the vegetables, pick it out of the ground and cook it. That's basically it, really.
Yeah, it's that, because it's very deceptive out there now these days, isn't it? With that word natural. So we're talking here about whole foods that haven't been processed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those, you know, you get in the fruit and veg section.
Yeah, and as organic as you can make it, really.
Yeah. So, and as I said, your repertoire has grown over the recent years, and you've made a new step recently in creating a support group to really break down some of that isolation, isn't it? That people with, especially IBS and other chronic pain conditions, it can be a really lonely life, can't it?
Yeah, it is, especially IBS. IBS is a really embarrassing condition because, again, we've been programmed into thinking about our bowels and our gut as something that can't be controlled. You know, if you don't eat a meal in the morning and you get into a meeting and your belly gurgles at the most inappropriate time and everybody looks at you and that kind of, so it's really embarrassing, and especially if, you know, you can't get to a toilet or whatever. So it's very difficult for people to actually come out and talk about IBS unless it's to people who actually know and understand what they're going through. And that's one of the reasons why I set the group up, because it's an embarrassing, isolating condition. And there's millions of people out there suffering in silence.
Yes, and it's a Facebook group called, I'm going to read it out, Natural Solutions to Chronic Pain and IBS Freedom Group. I really like that. Why Freedom Group?
Over the years, I've heard a lot of people in the medical profession, you know, in the pharmaceutical world, saying that IBS is a lifelong and you just have to manage the symptoms. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that we can be free from it. And it's about building the habits that will keep the symptoms away for a lifetime, for the rest of your life. And I've not had IBS symptoms since I started to do this. So I know that if you follow it 100% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
So tell us about, let's say I have IBS and I decide I want to sign up for the group. What can I expect to receive in there?
So you're going to get a group of friends. You're going to make friends with people who are already in the similar or same position as yourself. And they may well have IBS, but they may well have SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. They may have other digestive problems, but they all have similar symptoms. And the one thing, as we've just said before, is how isolating these conditions can be. So it's really important that people have somebody that they can speak to, other people that they can speak to. And I also think that it's really good for people to have not only the people that they speak to, but they can have some humour in there as well. I think humour is a fantastic stress reducer. And some of the things that we do and that we experience, when we look back on it, we think, oh my God, that was awful. But you can actually empathise with other people and you can laugh together around those kinds of things. So you're going to get a friendship group that you can just gel with and help to reduce the stress of that and the embarrassment of it all. So that's one thing that you're going to get, or people are going to get when they join in. And again, IBS and chronic pain and all of these problems, it isn't only about the physical symptoms. We've got to really understand the emotions and the thought processes that go along with it, which can also be isolating. So they're going to get help on how to speak to other people, you know, support from others of what's worked for them. And also there's an education element to it as well, of what herbs, what spices, what foods. Anti-inflammatory foods are really, really important to include in your diet a lot. So the education around that, any new studies that are going on, you know, there's going to be education around the new studies and mainly around the proven natural solutions to IBS. Yeah, and chronic pain.
You're very committed to that, aren't you? A, staying abreast of the latest research, but B, focusing on things that there's evidence-based and that they're proven.
That's correct. It's got to be proven, the effective and proven natural solutions, because it's my belief and my experience that the pharmaceutical options create more problems than they solve. If you take a drug for one thing, the chances are it's going to have a side effect on something else. So we're looking at a longer term approach here. It's not just a quick fix where I'll take this, the symptoms go for half an hour or a couple of hours, and then I'm fine, but then it comes back again maybe a day later. This is about long term. It's about being free longer than you have been.
Brilliant. Dee, I think it's such an important service that you set up, and with that sensitivity as well, and helping to break that isolation. And of course, with it being online, it's there for us no matter what's happening out in the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can locate it, you can have it there, you can refresh, you can go over some of the lives that have been in there, and you can connect to people and make friends, and then you can make friends outside the group as well. So it's good.
So if I want to look for you straight away, I'm going to Facebook and I'm putting in, say the name of the group again.
Natural Solutions to Chronic Pain and IBS, Freedom Group.
Brilliant. We'll put the link obviously accompanying this video, but it's been fantastic talking to you, Dee, and I think you provide such an important service for, yeah, like you said, a sensitive and embarrassing thing that people have to live with.
Yeah, I just hope people get the benefit out of it that I've got from actually doing this and researching it and living that life myself.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Dee, for joining us. And wherever you are in the world, if the sun isn't shining in your skies, may it shine in your heart. This is Siobhan signing out.